Welcome to Power User with Crash Long Johns. That's me. This episode is going to be CAT2 SharePoint List Archive and using Power Automate to do that, but also with this one showing you how to deal with that multi-choice selection and also multiple people selection. The reason I'm showing this is I looked into this, I needed to do it, and unfortunately I was just struggling. But I was able to finally get everything pieced together. And with me just struggling with it and then finding the answers, I want to be able to share with others how that you can take care of this when you need to archive from one SharePoint list to another. So with that said, let's get started. Jump over the computer. Now that with the computer, you see that we have our SharePoint list archive list, which is our main list where entries are being input. But we want to be able to archive based on certain criteria. In my case, we are looking at the archive date. So whenever I feel like, oh, that one could be archived because either the trail's gone, etc. So it's got a particular archive date. Now, a situation or scenario that you might be looking at is like, hey, our status is now completed. It's got a completion date. You'd be looking at the completion date and then basing that on however long that you want it to like stay in your main list before it's archived. In our illustration, we're going to be looking at, hey, anything that is older than 90 days that's in an art that is basically archive date that is 90 days then past, we're going to go ahead and archive it. So in your case, if we look at completion, so status has been completed, it's got a date, you'd be looking at today's date minus 90 just to see if anything is older than 90 days to archive. And then with that information, we're going to bring that over into another SharePoint list, which is going to be our archived list, which in our case, it's our archived copy. The one piece that I struggled with and trying to figure out, took some time, but eventually researching everything, got it finally to all play nice, is when you have a multi-selection. So like bike selection is a multi-select, so you got multiple choices. Then other writers is a multi-people selection for the people picker field. So we got multiple people that can be there. So you might have like, instead of other writers, you might have other contacts, and for a choice, you might have something else. But this is just to illustrate how we're going to take care of that. So let's jump over to our Power Automate. I went ahead and just created a quick button flow instant. So that way we can go ahead and trigger this whenever we want to. Let's go ahead and add our new step. So in our case, we got SharePoint, so we're going to get items. We got our get items. We're going to pick our site. In our case, it's Crash Long Johns. We're going to pick the list name, which in our case, we want the SharePoint list archive because it's our main list. And now to even like narrow this down, we're going to do some filter query with some OData. So in my case, the list column that we're after is called archived date. And then I'm going to do LE, which is less than or equal to. And then we're going to write an expression. Expression that we're going to write, we're going to do format, date and time. We're going to open close parentheses. Then we're going to add days. Also open close parentheses. Inside of add days, we're going to do UTC now. After those open close parentheses, we're going to do a comma. We're going to do minus 90 because we're going to look for 90 days. You can do whatever you want. And then after that close parentheses, we're going to do another comma. We're going to do single quotes. And for the format, we're going to do which is month, dash, and I'm going to do DD lowercase, dash, and then 3 lowercase y's for the year. Now we're going to go ahead and hit OK. I'm going to put that function in single quotes. So on each side, put some single quotes there. And we're good. So there's our get items. Let's go to our next step. In this case, we are going to do select. And from the we're going to go ahead and first get the multiple choice, which is the bike selection. It's going to put it into apply for each, which is fine. We're going to expand out our select. And for the map, we're looking at value because value, it's a multi-select or selection choice, so we want the value. And then for the enter value, we're going to go ahead and do item. Oops, actually get into an expression here. So we're going to do item, so singular, open close parenthesis. After that, we're going to do question mark. We're going to do open close bracket, and then single quote, and inside the single quote, value, with value being capitalized with a V, and then hit OK. For our next step, because we also want to take care of getting the multi-select people, we're going to do add an action. We're going to do another select. And in here, the from is we're looking for the people. So we're looking for other writers. So there's our other writers. For the map, this time, because this is a people selection, it won't be value. We're looking for the claims information. And then in the enter value for the expression, we're going to do the same, the item, singular, open close parentheses. After that, we're going to do question mark, open close bracket, single quotes. Now inside the single quotes, instead of being the value, we're going to do email. Then we're going to go ahead and hit OK. Let's go ahead and do our next step here, which we're going to go ahead and add an action. We're going to create item. So now what we're going to do is we're going to create our SharePoint item that we're duplicating, that we're carrying over, archiving. We're going to pick our site, which is Crash Long Johns. Our list name is going to be the SharePoint list archive copy. In my case, you're going to see some information which I don't need. I don't need a title. I don't need for my writer's claims. We're going to go ahead and do custom value because now I do need the writer. So that's going to be our display name. For our other writers, we're going to go ahead and switch this to an array. And we're going to insert our output of 2, or select 2, which be better about this. So go up here. Should have done this earlier. Let's go ahead and rename this. So this select, we're going to say multi-people. And then let's go ahead and rename this one. And this select, we're going to say multi-choice. Much better. So now when we hover back over this, we'll see that now it says multi-people. So we're good there for other writers. Trail name, we're just going to plug in the trail name. For trail type value, we're going to go ahead and enter the custom value. So if we do trail type value. Now our bike selection, again, this is that multi-select. So we're going to change this also to array. We're going to go ahead and get our multi-choice output. Any comments? So we're going to go find our comments. There's our comments. And we don't need an archive date. And actually, we do need an archive date. What day did we actually archive this? So what we're going to do is we're going to enter an expression because we're going to go ahead and set this using the automate. And we're just going to do UTCI now, and that's it. And hit OK. And we're going to leave everything else alone. Let's go ahead and save this. Going to close that all up. All right, so let's go ahead and test this out. Going to do a manual test, testing it. Continue and run. It's running. Getting the items, applying each, going through. It's fully successful. All right. So here is our main list. Here's the items that we want to be able to archive. We have some that were February, January, and one is May. So if we look at 90 days out, that's old, should be coming up with 3. So let's look. There we go. We got 3 entries. We're showing that we archived it today. And then we got our other writers. We got our bike selection. They're all in their own separate tills. That also means if I do filter by, I can actually see, I can apply, filter. Oh, nothing was with the Yeti. We can look at Santa Cruz, shows which ones were Santa Cruz. We can also go back in and say, hey, I want the Jameis. Shows which one's Jameis. And same for other writers. I can go in here, filter by other writers. We can see which ones had Crash Jr. and so forth. So I hope this helps you out and hope you liked the video. Give it a thumbs up if you did. If you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe. Thanks for stopping by. Until next time, keep learning.